So in 1996, a little baby girl was left in China. She was left at a train station in a box with nothing and no one. She was eventually found and taken to an orphanage where there are many other children and babies just like her. So she was just another orphan child left to fend for herself. After a year and a half, an English couple came to adopt her. They were unable to have a child of their own. This child was me. I was saved by a family. I was loved and cared for, and still am loved and cared for, as if I was their own flesh and blood. Now, there are many children in the world who are like me, but there are also many children who aren't as lucky as me to have what I have, which is a family. In the US, there are 428,000 children in foster care, 135,000 of which are adopted each year. This is fewer than 2% of Americans adopting children. The males outnumber the females, and the average age, over half of the children are 6 years or older. The average age for a child waiting to be adopted is 8 years. Now, as children are growing up, the early development stages, they go through a critical or sensitive period which is important for their growth and development. In orphanages, it's harder for them to go through this properly as they don't have a single role model, someone who can pay full attention to them and love and care for them. And so this period is often skipped over or just lightly looked at. This makes it harder for children when they're older and can lead to more challenging adoptees if they're in foster care for longer. Now, there are many alternatives to starting a family if biology is not in your favor. Things such as IVF or surrogacy. However, these methods can be expensive and they are not always guaranteed. In 2015, there were 140 million orphans in the world. 140 million. If you were to put all 140 million orphans into one country, they would have ranked 10th in population in 2017. Now, just like the many alternatives to having a child, there are also different alternatives or different ways that you can adopt children. You can adopt through an agency. This is public or private. Public adoptions are children who are of the state. They have been abandoned, orphaned, or abused. And there are private adoptions that are run through charities or social service organizations. There are also identification and independent adoptions. These allow the biological parents to have more freedom in choosing who can look after their child or if they want to continue contact with them. And there's also international adoption. This is where you adopt a child from a different country. This is what I was. And I know that from my parents' perspective, this is a long and challenging process. They went through several interviews together and apart. Their friends and family got interviewed. They had many home visits, and this was just to prove that they were efficient and suitable to be parents. This process took them roughly 2 years to complete. It can also be expensive depending on where you adopt from. There is also children involved. Children are expensive. It's not just something you look after for a couple of years, it's for the rest of your life. And there are also older adoptees, as I mentioned earlier. These can be more challenging. They've been in the system longer. They're neglected and forgotten about, and they're out-favored by the younger children who are often more wanted. But there are many positives to adopting a child. You are literally saving a child. You have this opportunity to take them away from where they are and give them a better quality of life. They may not have been in a situation or a foster care home or an orphanage that could give them the right amount of love and care that they needed, and you can take them away and give them this to them. You can also help the biological parents. Just because the child is being up for adoption, it doesn't mean that they weren't wanted in the first place. They may have been in a situation where they couldn't give them the life that they wanted to give them, so they are putting them up for adoption because they feel they deserve. The child has an equal chance at life. And you're also helping yourself. One of the most popular reasons for adopting is to start a family. Many people who can't have children want to adopt. And you can create this family and give them love and care, and just because they aren't blood related, it doesn't mean they can't feel like your family. Now, adoption is not limited to those who aren't able to have children. Those who have children already or are planning on having children can still adopt. All you're doing is adding more love to your family. You're making a bigger family, and you're creating a home that they wouldn't have had beforehand. Now, I'm sure you all have people in your life who are like family. Friends, parents' friends, people you've known for a couple of months, or people you've known your entire life. These people aren't blood related, but they feel like it, and they feel like family. This is what adopting a child can feel like too. Now, adoption may not have been something that's ever crossed your mind, or it may have been. I think it's something that you should keep in mind though. There are many children in the world who are in need of a home and a family, and you could provide that. You could give them the care and attention that they need, and it could be something special in your life, and you could be something special in their lives. Now, I feel like my life was saved. I'm not blood related, but I feel like I have a lot of similarities with my family, and I think that I turned out pretty well. Thank you for listening.